everyone, I'm Bhawna Sahni and I'm back with a new video, and in this video we are doing all the objective type question of the chapter The Age of Industrialization। and इस वीडियो में हम आपके सोर्स बेस्ड क्वेश्चन करने वाले हैं जिसमें MCQs भी होंगे एंड क्वेश्चन आंसर्स भी होंगे ऑल वन मार्कर। उसके बाद वी विल डू assertion reasons, then fill in the blanks. After that we will do the correct the following statement and rewrite। फिर हम करेंगे अरेंज द फॉलोइंग इन करेक्ट सीक्वेंस। उसके बाद हम करेंगे कुछ एमसीक्यूज के अलावा हम कुछ करेंगे मैच द फॉलोइंग, एंड आफ्टर दैट वी विल बी डूइंग सम पिक्चर बेस्ड क्वेश्चन। ऑल राइट, एंड दिस इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट वीडियो फॉर one marker of the same chapter, The Age of Industrialization. So let's get started to this one. We are starting with the source based question। ये आपका source given है और उसके नीचे 3 MCQs given है जो आपने attempt करने हैं। All right, so let me start with this. I'm reading this from the PDF here in my hand. So, in the 17th and 18th century, merchants from towns in Europe began moving to countryside, supplying money to peasants and artisans, persuading them to produce for an international market. With the expansion of world trade and then of colonies in different parts of the world, the demand for goods began growing. But merchant could not expand production within towns. This was because here urban crafts and trade guilds were powerful. These were associations of producers that trained craftspeople, maintained control over production, regulated competition and prices, and restricted the entry of new people into the trade. Rulers granted different guilds for the monopoly right to produce and trade in specific product. It was therefore difficult for new merchants to set up business in town, so they turned to the countryside. तो ये है आपका सोर्स और उसके नीचे कुछ MCQs गिवन है। पहला MCQ ये है, व्हाई द मर्चेंट कुड नॉट गेट प्रोड्यूस्ड इन टाउन। ठीक है, मर्चेंट के गुड्स टाउन में क्यों प्रोड्यूस नहीं हो रहे थे? ए, मोनोपोली बाय गिल्ड्स इन द टाउन। बी, कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन वाज हाई। सी, नॉन अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ चीप लेबर। डी, मोनोपोली बाय द रूलर। तो इसका आंसर है ए पार्ट, मोनोपोली बाय द गिल्ड्स इन द टाउन। टाउन्स में किसकी मोनोपोली थी? गिल्ड्स की मोनोपोली थी। इसी रीजन की वजह से जो मर्चेंट्स थे वो टाउन्स में प्रोडक्शन नहीं कर पा रहे थे एंड दे मूव टू द कंट्री साइड, राइट। Next question is, why did the world demand for goods increase in centuries? So in the world, why there was a demand for the goods in centuries? And the answer is colonialism. All right, colonialism is the answer. Why did the world demand for the goods increase in century? Because of colonialism. All right, next, who produced goods for the international market? International market के लिए goods कौन produce कर रहा था? Merchants, ruler, farmers and artisans या guilds? And the answer is very simple, that is farmers and artisans. All right, तो ये हो गया first. Next is this second source based question, and it says, by the 1750s this network controlled by Indian merchant was breaking down. The European companies gradually gained powers, first securing a variety of concessions from local courts, then the monopoly right to trade. This resulted in a decline of the old port of Surat and Hooghly, through which local merchant had operated. Export from these ports fell dramatically. The credit that had financed the earlier trade began drying up, and the local bankers slowly went bankrupt. In the last years of the 17th century, the gross value of trade that passed Surat had been 16 million. By 1740s, it had summed to 3 million. Right, again we have few MCQs, 4 MCQs on this. Who controlled Indian trade before 1750? Indian rulers, Indian merchants, Portuguese, British. आंसर इज इंडियन मर्चेंट। 1750 से पहले इंडियन मर्चेंट्स का कंट्रोल था एंड बाय 1715 इंडियन मर्चेंट का कंट्रोल ब्रेक डाउन हो चुका था क्योंकि कुछ यूरोपियन कंपनीज इंडिया में आ गई थी जो कंट्रोल कर रही थी, राइट। हु ग्रांटेड ट्रेड कंसेशन टू यूरोपियन पावर्स? यूरोपियन पावर्स को ट्रेड कंसेशन किसने दिया? इंडियन स्टेट, लोकल पीपल, इंडियन रूरल, इंडियन मर्चेंट्स। ऑब्वियसली इंडियन रूलर्स ने यूरोपियन पावर्स को ट्रेड कंसेशन ग्रांट किया। Next, name the famous trading port of India before the advent involvement of European powers. European powers आने से पहले कौन से famous trading ports थे? सूरत, हुगली, कोचीन, only A and B. Obviously Surat and Hooghly, so answer would be D part, only A and B. Who used to finance trade of Indian merchant? Indian merchant का trade कौन finance करता था? Industrialists, bankers, rulers, all of this. So the answer is easy. Bankers ही finance करते थे Indian merchants का trade. All right. So now this is the third source based question. The history of many business groups goes back to trade with China. From the late 18th century, the British in India began exporting opium to China and took tea from China to England. Many Indians became junior players in this trade, providing finance and procuring supplies and shipping consignment. Having earned through trade, some of these businesses had visions of developing industrial enterprises in India. In Bengal, Dwarkanath Tagore made his fortune in China trade before he turned to industrial investments, setting up six joint stock companies in 1830s and 1840s. Tagore enterprise sank along with those in the wider business of crisis of 1840s, but later in the 19th century, many of the China traders became successful industrialists. In Bombay, Parsis like Dinshapati, Jamsetji, Nusarwanji Tata, who built huge industrial empires in India, accumulated their initial wealth partly from export to China and partly from raw material cotton shipments to England. Seth Hukum Chand, a Marwari businessman who set up the first Indian jute mill in Calcutta in 1917, also traded with China. So did the father as well as the grandfather of the famous industrialist G.D. Birla. And after this, we again have four questions which you have to answer. What did British export to China? British China में export क्या कर रहे थे? That is opium. All right, opium export करा जा रहा था इंडिया से चाइना और चाइना से टी लिया जा रहा था which was sent to England. How did Indian businessman manage to invest an Indian industrial enterprise? जो Indian businessman थे वो Indian industrial enterprise में कैसे manage कर पाए? Because they earned money through opium trade. उन्होंने पहले पैसे कमाए चाइना से ट्रेडिंग करके फिर उन्होंने इंडस्ट्रियल इन्वेस्टमेंट करी. Next, why did Jamshedji Nusarwanji Tata do with the help which he gained from the trade with China? तो नुसरवंजी टाटा ने जो चाइना के साथ पैसे कमाए थे ट्रेडिंग करके उसका उन्होंने क्या किया? He invested in industries in India. Answer is A part. He invested in industries in India. Right? Next is जूट मिल कौन लेके आया था कैलकाटा में? जूट मिल कौन लेके आया था? सेठ हुकुमचंद लेके आए थे जूट मिल in Calcutta. Clear in 1917. Now the fourth question. Again ये भी MCQ based ही है. Right? So yes, I'm reading this for you. Certain groups of weavers were in a better position than others to survive the competition with mill industries. Amongst weavers, some produced coarse cloth, while others wove finer varieties. The coarser cloth was bought by the poor, and its demand fluctuated violently. In times of bad harvest and famine, when the rural poor had little to eat and their cash income disappeared, they could not possibly buy cloth. The demand for the finer variety bought by the well-to-do was more stable. The rich could buy these even when the poor starved. Famines did not affect the sales of Banarusi or Baluchari saris. Moreover, as you have seen, mills could not imitate specialized weaves. Saris with woven borders or the famous lungis and handkerchiefs of Madras could not be easily displaced by mill productions. Alright, so the question is, why did weaving industry survive despite stiff competition with the mill industries? बहुत गहरा कंपटीशन था मिल इंडस्ट्री के साथ तब भी वीविंग इंडस्ट्री कैसे सर्वाइव कर पाई? A, it was popular with the rich class. B, the weaving industry adopted new technology. C, the weaving industry was better than the mill industries. And D, all of the above. All right, so it can be the weaving industry adopted new technology. Next, why did the demand for coarse cloth fluctuate? Coarse cloth की demand fluctuate क्यों होती थी? It was not very popular. B, it was only demand by poor people. C, due to poverty, the poor people could not afford to purchase it. D, less production of coarser cloth. So answer is it was only demanded by poor people. All right. Next, who were the main buyer of Banarasi and Baluchari saris? The Indian rich class, the British, the nationalist leader, all of this. Obviously, the Indian rich class because these were expensive. All right. अब ये जो next है, ये next जो है इसमें आपके जो पूछे जाएंगे question answers की form में source based question है. I'm reading again this. You guys also read with me. A magistrate reported in 1719 about an incident when he was called in to protect a manufacturer's property from being attacked by workers. From the depredations of a lawless banditry of colliers and their wives, while their wives had lost their work to spinning engines, they advanced at first with much insolence, owing their intentions of cutting pieces the machine lately introduced in the woolen manufacture, which they suppose, if generally adopted, will lessen the demand for manual labor. The women became clamorous, the men are more open to conviction, and after some expostulation, were induced to desist from their purpose and return peaceably home. Alright, and the question is from this, who devised the spinning jenny and when? So, James Hargreaves devised the spinning jenny in 1764. Next question is, how did spinning jenny reduce the demand of labor? So you have to answer by spinning jenny speeded up the spinning process and hence reduced the demand of the labor. Next is how the spinning jenny functions. Spinning jenny कैसे काम करती थी? You have to answer by turning one single wheel. A worker would set a motion a number of spindles and spin several threads at the same time. All right. Then source based question number 6, again it is in the form of question answers. I'm reading and kindly read with me so that it is clear to you. Koshtis, a community of weavers, the census report of Central Provincial stated the Koshtis, like the weavers of the finer kinds of cloth in other parts of India, have fallen upon evil time. They are unable to compete with the showy goods with Manchester sent in such profusion. They have of late years emigrated in great number, chiefly to Berar, where as a day labourer they are able to obtain wages. Census report of Central Provinces 1872 quoted in Sumit Guha, the handloom industry in central India 1825 to 1950. And question is, who were the Koshtis? Koshtis were the community of weavers. Next, why did Koshtis migrate to Berar? Koshtis migrate to Begar because they found it difficult to compete with the showy goods which Manchester sent in abundance, so they migrated to Berar. What did Koshtis do there? Koshtis became day laborer there in order to earn their livelihood. All right. Next is assertion reason. Assertion reason is very easy. There are 6 questions of assertion reason, and you have to choose this: A, whether both assertion and reason are true, and reason is the correct explanation of assertion. B, both assertion and reason are true, but reason is not the correct explanation of assertion. C, assertion is true but reason is false. D, assertion is false but reason is true. And first question is assertion. During the proto-industrialization phase, the merchant had to persuade artisans and peasants to produce good for them. Reason, the urban crafts and trade guilds had monopoly of production in the urban area. तो ये दोनों correct है, दोनों true है, and reason is the correct explanation of assertion. So you will choose the option A. Both assertion and reason are true, but reason is the correct explanation of assertion. Right now, question number 2. With the rise of with the rise of mechanized industry, the traditional industries did not remain stagnant. Reason, the traditional industries introduce innovations in the process of production. Obviously, again, both the statements are true, and reason is the correct explanation of assertion. So, again, question 2 ka bhi A ही होगा. Right? Question number 3. Matthew Boulton manufactured the new model of steam engine but could not find buyers for ages. Reason, the new machines were costly and industrialists were cautious in using them. Again, both the statements are true, and reason is the correct explanation of assertion. All right. Question 4. In Victorian Britain, there was a demand for hand labor. Reason, in America, industrialists were keen on using mechanical power. Again, both are true, but reason is not the correct explanation, so you will choose the option B. All right. Question number 5. With the outbreak of civil war, Britain began selling its goods in India. Reason, the British procured raw cotton from India due to outbreak of civil war. So here the option will be D, that assertion is false and reason is true. जो सिविल वॉर हुआ था वो ब्रिटेन में नहीं हुआ था और ब्रिटेन ने इंडियन गुड्स को खरीदना नहीं शुरू किया था. ऑलराइट, इंडियन गुड्स को सेल करना नहीं शुरू किया था, उससे रॉ मटेरियल लेना शुरू किया था. Next, assertion. The East India Company gave advances loan to weavers to buy raw material. Reason, the company permanently engaged weaver and fell in trap of debt. Obviously, both are true, and reason is the correct explanation of assertion. Now moving towards the fill in the blanks. First, Dash improved the steam engine produced by Newcomen and patented the new spinning engine in 1781. तो न्यूकॉमन ने जो इंजन बनाया था इसको इंट्रोड्यूस जिसने किया था उसको इम्प्रोवाइज किसने किया और न्यू इंजन को पेटेंट 1781 में किसने कराया? द आंसर इज जेम्स वॉट. ऑल राइट. डैश वॉज डिवाइज्ड बाय जेम्स हारग्रीव्स इन 1764. क्या बनाया था जेम्स हारग्रीव्स ने 1764 में? स्पिनिंग जेनी. राइट. इन 1772 किसने कहा था कि जो इंडियन टेक्सटाइल है इट कुड नेवर रिड्यूस सिंस नो अदर नेशन प्रोड्यूस द गुड्स ऑफ द सेम क्वालिटी? आंसर इज हेनरी पटूलो. नेक्स्ट, इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट ने किसको एम्प्लॉय किया था टू गेट न्यू रिक्रूट्स? आंसर इज जॉबर. एंड वेरी ऑफन वो कौन होता था? ओल्ड एंड ट्रस्टेड वर्कर. राइट. नेक्स्ट इज द मोस्ट डायनामिक इंडस्ट्रीज इन ब्रिटेन वर क्लियरली. कौन सी दो डायनामिक इंडस्ट्री थी ब्रिटेन में? कॉटन एंड metal. All right, next is correct the following statement and rewrite. 7 statement है, you have to correct and rewrite. First is proto-industrialization was a system of factory production which catered to domestic market. So statement is not correct. Domestic market की जगह international market आएगा. Proto-industrialization में जो भी production हो रही थी वो international market में भेजी जा रही थी. Next, the guilds were granted the monopoly of trade by the merchants. No, guilds को किसने दिया था monopoly of trade? Rulers ने. Next, the earliest factories in England specialized in metal product. Wrong. So England में earliest factory आई थी, they were specialized in cotton products. Clear? Then next is in mid 17th century the workers was not a machine operator but was the traditional craft person. This is wrong. I'm here not talking about mid 17th century, I'm here talking about the mid 19th century. Next is by mid 18th century there was a decline of old ports like Surat, Masulipatam due to the rise of Indian industrialists. No, there was a decline of Surat and Masulipatam but due to East India Company. Right? Gumastas were paid servant of Indian merchants to supervise the work of weavers. No, Gumastas were the paid servant of East India Company to supervise the work of weavers. Next, in the 19th century, merchants from the town in Europe began moving to countryside, supplying food grains to peasants and artisans, persuading them to produce for an international market. Again, this is wrong. The answer is in the 17th and 18th century, merchants from the town in Europe began moving to countryside, supplying food grains to peasants and artisans and persuading them to produce for an international market. All right. Now next is arrange the following in correct sequence. First is export of British good in India. Second is export of cotton and silk goods by India. Establishment of factories by Indian entrepreneurs and the rise of Calcutta and Bombay as the trading port. तो सबसे पहले क्या होगा? सबसे पहले हमने कॉटन और एक्सपोर्ट को सेल करना शुरू किया. राइट. एक्सपोर्ट ऑफ कॉटन एंड सिल्क गुड्स बाय इंडिया. फिर हमने राइज ऑफ कैलकटा एंड बॉम्बे एज द ट्रेडिंग पोर्ट्स, क्योंकि ट्रेडिंग पोर्ट्स के थ्रू ही हम बाहर भेज रहे थे. राइट. आफ्टर दैट एक्सपोर्ट ऑफ ब्रिटिश गुड्स इन इंडिया. फिर आएगा एस्टेब्लिशमेंट ऑफ फैक्ट्रीज बाय इंडियन एंटरप्रेन्योर्स. ऑल राइट. देन कम्स क्वेश्चन नंबर 2. क्वेश्चन नंबर 2 says production of cotton cloth by Indian cotton industry, production of cotton yarn by Indian cotton industries, import of raw material by industries, rise of Indian mills catering to the production of variety of good. तो सबसे पहले क्या हुआ था? प्रोडक्शन ऑफ कॉटन यार्न बाय इंडियन कॉटन इंडस्ट्रीज. फिर हुआ था प्रोडक्शन ऑफ कॉटन क्लोथ बाय इंडियन कॉटन इंडस्ट्रीज. फिर हुआ था सेकेंड के बाद फर्स्ट. ऑल राइट. फर्स्ट के बाद थर्ड इंपोर्ट ऑफ रॉ मटेरियल बाय ब्रिटिश इंडस्ट्रीज. यहाँ पे थर्ड आएगा. एंड द राइज ऑफ इंडियन मिल्स केटरिंग द मिल्स वैरायटी ऑफ प्रोडक्शन ऑफ वैरायटी ऑफ गुड्स. ऑल राइट. Clear? All right. Then moving towards the next. The Elgin mill was started in Kanpur. The first jute mill set up in Bengal. The first cotton mill came up in Bombay. The first cotton mill of Ahmedabad was set up. तो इसको भी ऑर्डर में लगाना है. सबसे पहले था the first cotton mill came up in Bombay. फिर था the first jute mill set up in Bengal. फिर था the Elgin mill was started in Kanpur. और फिर था the first cotton mill of Ahmedabad was set up. Right? Now let's discuss some MCQs. तो पहला MCQ है हमारा, which of the following picture was on the cover of music book of E.T. Paul? E.T. Paul की music book में कौन सी पिक्चर थी? dawn of century, dawn of industrial age, dawn of agriculture, dawn of 21st century. तो अगर आपको याद था तो ये होगा dawn of the century, right? What do you mean by Orient? Which of the following meaning is correct? Orient का क्या मतलब है? The countries to the west of Indian Ocean, the country to the coast of Mediterranean Sea, the countries to the west of Pacific Ocean, the countries to the east of Red Sea. So the answer is B part, the countries to the coast of the to the east of the Mediterranean Sea. Right? Next is, which of the following statement is more correct about the first symbol of new era of England? First, the first symbol of new era was cotton. The first symbol of new era was iron. C part, the first symbol of new era was copper. D part, the first symbol of new era was wool. The answer is the first symbol of new era was cotton. Next is, at the beginning of 19th century, how many steam engines were in use in England? कितने steam engines थे? Not more than 321 steam engine. So answer is A part. All right, moving to question number fifth. Which of the following statement is correct about Gumastas? The company appointed Gumastas to supervise its employees in India? No. The companies appointed Gumastas to collect land revenue? No. The company appointed gumastas to sell cotton to the weavers? No. The company appointed gumastas to supervise weavers, collect supplies, and examine the quality of cloth? Yes, the answer is D part. Right? Next is question 6. Identify the appropriate reason for the emergence of Indian entrepreneur in India. Indian entrepreneur emergence जो हुई थी, जो वो लोग आए थे, उसका क्या reason है? First, Indian entrepreneur had earned money from trade with China. Second, due to their rich family inheritance. Third, the East Indian Company made them India. Indian entrepreneur had close ties with the British, and the answer is A part, that Indian entrepreneurs had earned money from the trade with China. Next is, identify the appropriate reason for the production of coats, cotton and yarn by Indian mills in the late 18th century. In the late 18th century, Indian mills ने coats, cotton yarn क्यों बनानी शुरू करी थी? क्योंकि A, the Indian industrialists were interested only in the production of cotton yarn? No, this is not the answer. The Indian industrialists wanted to export yarn to China? No. See, the Indian industrialists avoided competing with Manchester goods in India. This is correct, and obviously then D will not be the answer. So question 7 ka hoga C part. All right. Question number 8. Identify the appropriate reason for the use of image of Indian gods and goddesses by the manufacturers on their products for advertisement. तो जो appropriate reason क्या है, इंडियन जो मैन्युफैक्चरर्स थे वो इंडियन गॉड्स एंड गॉडेसेस की इमेज क्यों यूज करते थे? A part, it made the product look more beautiful. B part, God gave divine approval for the good being sold. C part, the product was pure. D part, the manufacturer had religious inclinations. So the answer is B part, God gave divine approval for the goods being sold. All right. So question number 9. Question number 9 क्या है? Identify the appropriate reason for the acceptance by the poor peasants of England to produce goods for the merchants from town. A part, the peasants were living in the state of poverty. B part, the peasant had uneconomic land holding. C part, there had been decline of open field system. D part, the peasants were reluctant of using machine. And the answer is C part, there had been decline of open field system. All right. Next comes the question number 10. Identify the appropriate reason for the use of hand labor during Victorian period in Britain. A part, non-availability of machinery for production of goods. B part, availability of cheap labor in large numbers. C part, fear of use of machinery by the industrialists. D part, the labor class did not know the operation of machines. So the answer is B part, availability of cheap labor in large number. All right. Then moving towards the next question. Next question here talks about, when were the earliest factories in England set up? A 1730s, B 1750s, C 1720s, D 1740s. So answer is A part, 1730s. Next is, who invented spinning jenny? James Watt, Matthew Boulton, James Hargreaves, Wilton. So obviously the answer is C part, James Hargreaves. 13th, when was the first Indian jute mill set up in Calcutta? A part 1912, B part 1919, C part 1918, D part 1917. So obviously the answer is 1917. Question 14, when was the first cotton mill established in Bombay? A 1854, B 1856, C 1818, D 1891. So answer is A part 1854. Next, Surat and Hooghly were replaced with Bombay and Orissa, Bombay and Calcutta, Masulipatam and Calcutta, Calcutta and Madras. So answer is Bombay and Calcutta, B part. Next is who invented steam engine? James Watt, Newcomen, Richard Arkwright, none of these. So answer is Newcomen invented it and James Watt improvised it and patented it. Who created the cotton mill? James Hargreaves, Matthew Bolton, Richard Arkwright, James Watt. So the answer is Richard Arkwright. Clear. Next is which one of the pre-colonial port were where sea trade were carried on? Calcutta, Bombay, Orissa, Surat. I am talking about pre-colonial port. The answer is Surat. Next is where was the Algin mill set up? Kanpur, Ahmedabad, Banaras, Mirzapur. So answer is Kanpur. All right. Then moving towards the next question. Why did the Indian industrialists appoint jobbers? To get new recruits, to get their support, to get their wealth? None of these. So answer is to get new recruits. Next is which country faced labor shortage in 19th century? A. Britain, B. Japan, C. America, D. France. So the answer is America. The industry where the demand for labor was seasonal. कौन सी industries में seasonal demand थी? Brewers, iron and steel, cotton industries, none of these. Brewers. What is yarn? Cotton, thread, wool, bread. Answer is thread. What made worker hostile to the introduction of spinning jenny? Fear of war, fear of unemployment, both A and B, D, none of these. So answer is fear of unemployment. Which businessman set up the first Indian jute mill in Calcutta in 1917? A. Dinshapati, B. Hukum Chand, C. G. D. Butler, D. Dwarkanath Tagore. So answer is B. Seth Hukum Chand. All right. So let's talk about this. अगर मैं Orient की बात करूँ, Orient is the eastern side of Mediterranean Sea, that is Asia. ठीक है. अगर मैं प्रोटो की बात करूँ तो प्रोटो is early from फॉर्म ऑफ समथिंग, मतलब सबसे पहले जो आता है. अगर मैं स्टेपलर की बात करूँ इट इज अ सॉर्ट्स ऑफ वूल, एंड अगर मैं सिपॉय की बात करूँ इट इज सिपाही. ऑल राइट. क्लियर. फिर नेक्स्ट आता है अगर मैं गिल्ड की बात करूँ तो गिल्ड्स वर इन टाउन. ठीक है. अगर मैं कॉमन की बात करूँ तो यहाँ पे विलेजेस आ जाएगा. फिनिशिंग सेंटर लंदन में था. एंड प्रोटो इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन जो थे वो मर्चेंट्स कर रहे थे. राइट. फिर नेक्स्ट आता है रिचर्ड ऑकराइट मिल में थे. जेम्स वॉट ने क्या किया था? जेम्स वॉट ने स्टीम इंजन बनाया था. जेम्स हार्ग्रीव्स ने स्पिनिंग जेनी बनाई थी. फ्लाइंग शटल वीवर्स यूज कर रहे थे. ऑल राइट. देन विक्टोरियन ब्रिटेन हैवर में हैंड लेबर था. प्रोटो इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन वर द यूज फॉर इंटरनेशनल मार्केट. ठीक है. नाइट रिफ्यूजीज वर फॉर द जॉब सीकर्स एंड फूड प्रोसेसिंग फैक्ट्रीज वर नॉन मैकेनाइज्ड. फिर नेक्स्ट आता है इसमें अगर मैं सूरत की बात करूं तो सूरत इज इन गुजरात. ठीक है. महाराष्ट्र की बात करूं तो तमिलनाडु. हुगली की बात करूं तो बंगाल. बॉम्बे की बात करूं तो मसूलीपट्टनम. क्लियर. देन नेक्स्ट इज इफ आई टॉक अबाउट द्वारकानाथ टैगोर फॉर बंगाल. राइट. एंड्रयू यूल इज द यूरोपियन एजेंसी. ठीक है. मैनचेस्टर के साथ आ जाएगा आपका यूनाइटेड किंगडम बिकॉज इट इज इन यूके. एंड इफ आई टॉक अबाउट इंडियन मिल में यान प्रोड्यूस हो रहा था. ऑल राइट. नेक्स्ट आता है आइडेंटिफाई द एप्रोप्रिएट रीजन फॉर प्रेफरिंग द हैंड लेबर बाय सम इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट इन 19th सेंचुरी. 19th सेंचुरी में कुछ इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट ने हैंड लेबर क्यों यूज करी थी? बिकॉज ऑफ ए चीप प्रोडक्ट कुड बी मेड. बी there was abundance of cheap skilled labor. C there were very few industries which could not cope up with the demand. D a range of product could be produced according to the choice of the elite society. So the answer is D part, a range of product could be produced according to the choice of elite society. Now can you see this picture? This is Aladdin from the Orient and this is the modern mechanic. All right. So who is represented at the top in the picture of magicians? ऊपर वाला magician कौन है? Traditional mechanic. B Aladdin from the Orient. C Aladdin from the West. D modern mechanic. So answer is B Aladdin from the Orient. Next is which of the following aspects signifies the image of two magicians? Antiquity and modernity, present and future, progress and growth, faith and apprehension. Antiquity and modernity, the traditional time and the modern time. All right. Next, which of the following best signifies in this picture? कौन है ये? He is Rabindranath Tagore. He is Dwarkanath Tagore. Dwarkanath Tagore believed that Indian would develop through westernization and industrialization. D both B and C. So this is Dwarkanath Tagore और उनकी thinking को भी mark करोगे. So that is both B and C. Now see this picture, dawn of century properly, and the question is which of the following aspects signifies the image of goddess? ये goddess की image क्या signify कर रही है? Beauty and progress, serenity, time and progress, emancipation of women and divinity and mysticism. So answer is time and progress. Next is, which of the following aspects signifies the picture of God Krishna? A, as a medium of advertising the product. B, portrayal of divinity. C, symbolic of Indian culture. D, portrayal of innocence and divinity. So answer is A part, as the medium for advertising the product. Next is, which of the following aspects signifies the picture? A, spinning jenny and domestic production. B, spinning jenny. C, hand spinning and domestic production. And D, spinning jenny and factory. तो ये जो picture में है वो hand spinning है और domestically काम हो रहा है तो domestic production. Next question is, complete the following statement. Women working in the woolen textile industry begin attacking the spinning jenny because it caused them unemployment. All right. And the last question of one marker is, you have to find the incorrect one. And the options are A, industrialization in India started much later in 18th century. B, Indian industrialization suffered a lot due to British monopoly of right to trade. C, the first Indian cotton mill was set up in Calcutta in 1856. And D, many rich Indian businessmen. So answer is C part, that the first Indian cotton mill was set up in Calcutta in 1856. This is the incorrect statement. So I hope आपको ये one marker समझ आए. If you have any doubt or if you want more kinds of question, you can reach us out on Instagram, Facebook or Telegram. इसके अलावा और भी बहुत क्वेश्चंस बनते हैं, so I can share that with you all, but for that you have to reach us out on the number which is given below. And one more thing, for more such videos and for the chapter, for the question answers of and explanation of all the other chapter, you can ring the bell icon and subscribe our channel. So I will be meeting you guys super soon in my next video. Bye bye everyone.